This is the reverse cherry picker. This trick might feel a bit awkward when you first learn it because it's so different, but that's what makes it great. Learning this trick inspires a totally different movement pattern and can help you break out of a rut and expand your balisong skill. Not only will I teach you the rev cherry picker, but I'll show you just as cool variations and different tricks to combine it with. The reverse cherry picker is going to be in 3 parts. You have this slightly modified double rollout, the core of the movement, and then that kind of roll over into the pinch close. And I will also teach you other ways to get out of it and get into it, and other variations entirely. Now for the breakdown of the trick. Like I mentioned, we're gonna do a modified double rollout to where you're gonna have your middle and index finger over top of the safe handle. So you're gonna do the first flick out, and then right as you do the second one, you're going to be releasing these 2 fingers to do the second one. The next movement is you're gonna be throwing it over your middle finger. Okay, so you're gonna throw the ballet around your middle finger and grab it with your index finger. And you're gonna tuck your 2 fingers down as that's happening. Now the balisong is gonna be spinning around, and you're gonna have a very loose grip between these 2 fingers because you wanna be able to rotate around the handle of the balisong. And you're going to be lifting your hand up as the balisong rotates over and reaching your middle finger over the balisong like this until you're in this position. Now doing it kind of slowly, it looks like this. And then regular speed looks like that. Now it's very important for this motion that you just keep your fingers pretty loose, but while you're gripping the balisong. Remember, it's like you're throwing essentially just a reverse middle finger roll. The balisong is starting from here where you have the safe handle, the bite handle, and the blade facing this way, and then it's rotating around and landing in the same exact spot with the safe handle, bite handle, and the blade facing this way. The only thing that is different is that your hand is going from here to here. So your hand is doing like this motion while the balisong is just rotating around. So starting again, you have that double rollout into that reverse cherry picker movement. Now from here, what you can do is then you can just throw the balisong over your index finger and then grab it in a pinch close. Now it might be a little bit weird because you're going to be shifting the momentum, rotating kind of like in the horizontal plane to then going over top or in a more vertical way, but it's a cool way to end the trick and it's helpful to get that down. But once you understand what's going on, you should be able to get that transfer of momentum down pretty smoothly. And now I'm going to show you some other ways that you can end this trick, and these will be ways you can like keep the flow going. And there's 2 different ways. There's one which is going from the reverse to the regular flow, and the other is keeping with the reverse flow. Now what do I mean by that? The regular flow of balisong tricks, if you're right-handed, say take the chaplain, notice how the balisong is spinning in the counterclockwise direction, whereas the reverse chaplain spins in the clockwise direction. So if you take the reverse cherry picker, it moves in the clockwise or reverse direction, and then it moves into just a regular index roll, which moves counterclockwise or just the regular flow. So the first category is going to be similarly going from that reverse to switching it into the regular flow. Now this first variation is pretty simple but effective, where you normally do that pinch close. You're just gonna go into a whip rollover, and then you can continue to whatever tricks you want to from there. Now this next transition, you have to start on the bite handle, but it works really nicely to go right into the aerial, the chaplain. Now if you're looking for a more fancy way out of the reverse cherry picker, you could try going into some overhand scissors. Now, how I typically use the reverse cherry picker is amidst other reverse movements. For example, from doing a rev cherry picker, you can go right into a rev middle finger chaplain. The way you do that is when you do the reverse cherry picker movement, instead of throwing it over your index, you are just going to kind of drop your hand down and continue that momentum with a scooping motion like that, and you'll be right in a position where you can throw that reverse chaplain. Now something I like to do actually from the reverse cherry picker is actually go into this movement. It feels very similar in the hand motion to the reverse cherry picker, but what you're doing in the fingers is different. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to do the reverse cherry picker. You'll be in this drop down your hand position, and instead of rotating it up to throw over, you're going to stay in this position and rotate, kind of scooping down like that, and throw it over into a chaplain. It's going to do one chaplain, and as it comes back, you're going to allow the handle to fall between these two fingers. And to do that slowly, it's going to kind of look like that. And as you can see, as it falls into that position between your index and your middle, you're going to rotate your hand over, just like you would with a reverse cherry picker. And as that happens, you're going to kind of drop your index down. So the handle is now just between your middle and your ring fingers, and then you can continue the momentum over into this position. And you may have noticed this is the starting position for the reverse cherry picker, which means that you can loop these two tricks as much as you want, or go into something else. Now for this next transition, you can go even further with it and go right into a reverse thumb chaplain. Now the way to do this one is you're going to do that rev cherry picker and then kind of doing that scooping motion, but really emphasizing the turning of the balisong even more so that you can reach your thumb under. And as you do that scooping around motion, you'll be in this position where you can go right into that thumb chaplain. Now for this whole tutorial, I've been doing that modified elbow rollout to get into the reverse cherry picker. Now I'm just gonna run through a bunch of different ways that you can get into this trick. So the first one would be going from a reverse thumb chaplain. So if you're in that reverse thumb chaplain, you catch it like this. With your index finger out, you can throw it right over into a rev cherry picker that way. Now, of course, you can do that where you catch it between these two fingers and you have your middle finger out, and then you can go into it that way. And you get the picture. If you just catch it with your pinky, then you can go into it that way. Now, another similar way to get into the rev cherry picker is you can do any of the like reverse behind the 8-ball kind of variation things. So that's just going from that thumb chaplain to then doing like the OK symbol and transferring it over to that finger. Now you can throw it out and then go into a reverse cherry picker that way. Of course, similarly, you can do that from multiple different fingers. That was like that. And there's two ways to do, you can do the rev behind the 8-ball to the rev cherry picker. So you can do either like right into it where you do, say, like go around the middle finger, and then you would introduce your ring finger and then throw it over your ring finger like that. So it's ending up between your ring and middle. Or you can do the rev behind the 8-ball, bring it over, and then insert your index, and then do the rev cherry picker around your index. So once again, that would be ending up between, like, I guess your index and thumb. Now those all start from the reverse flow and then continue it to the rev cherry picker. But if you want to start with just like a regular direction of tricks, you could say you're doing the behind the 8-ball. It's pretty simple. You just kind of go like that. It's honestly very similar to, like, say if you're doing the behind the 8-ball into the shortstop, how you drop down kind of like to avoid the blade because you're on the bite handle, and then you go back up in that movement right there. It'll be the same type of thing, except when you're finishing that last trick of the behind the 8-ball, you just want to get your fingers out of the way like that. So when you drop down, you can just throw it back over your middle finger like that. You can also get into the rev cherry picker pretty easily from a chaplain, and here's what that looks like. All you have to do is just, when you're doing that chaplain, you just stop it with your middle finger and then toss the bally back around like that and go right into the reverse cherry picker movement. Now, you can also experiment with other fingers, and another way you can do it, like say you're doing a middle finger chaplain, you can stop with your ring and do it in the same way, or you could stop it with your index and throw it into the rev cherry picker that way. Another fun one to do is the helix aerial to pinky catch, and kind of use the momentum to bring it back like that. And you notice how I did it from the pinky, then threw it over the ring finger, but you could also catch it with the pinky still and then throw it over the middle finger like that, which is a little bit easier. And if you're looking for something a little bit more complex, you could try doing a rev cherry picker from an infinity ladder. It's a little bit easier if you kind of walk up the handle before getting into the rev cherry picker movement as well. And with practice, you can avoid dropping your hand down that far on that last ladder before going into the rev cherry picker movement. Now that you know how to do the rev cherry picker and I've shown you some alternative ways to get in and out of the trick, I'm going to cover some variations on the core part of the trick, which is that movement right there. Now this first variation I'm calling the extended reverse cherry picker. The reason for that is the heart of the trick is this movement right there, and you're loosely gripping the balisong as it's spinning around like this. And really for this trick, what you're going to do is you're just going to lift up your middle finger and reach it over. It really does feel like that core movement is just extending that rotation. And then you grab it like that. And I can't emphasize enough, through this motion, you are gripping the handle as light as you possibly can with your middle finger, just guiding it around. That way you can just lift it up and move it over. So it really does feel just like an extension of that reverse cherry picker movement. Notice how my middle finger is fully extended throughout the movement. Normally the middle finger would start to reach around the handle toward the end of the rev cherry picker movement, but as opposed to reaching around then lifting up your finger, you want to keep it extended throughout the movement so it's ready to grab the opposite handle. Now the next reverse cherry picker variation I'm going to show you looks like this. So basically it's the exact same thing, except where normally the balisong would go under your hand, you're just going to do that same movement. It's going to go over top of your hand, like that. So this variation, notice how it starts with a safe handle with the channel pointing down between these two fingers, and then after completing the movement, it's pointing up. So basically it just goes from here, and then it flips over to this position. Of course, if you want to end this trick kind of similarly to the other way, you can throw it around, kind of just do a partial chaplain, and then throw it back over into the pinch close. But how I normally finish the trick off is go into some kind of reverse chaplain. You can do a reverse middle finger chaplain just like that, or you can also go into an index chaplain if you want to go into some index chatters. Now, of course, speaking of experimentation, another thing you can do is experiment with doing all of these reverse cherry picker variations with different fingers. Because this whole time I've been starting off with the rev cherry picker between your middle and ring finger, but you can do it between other different fingers. Like let's say you do this like rev behind the 8-ball to the pinky, and you're in this position. Well, now you can do the rev cherry picker starting from your pinky and your ring. Or another thing I like doing is doing the reverse cherry picker but over the hand, but doing it between the first two fingers. You can transition right into a fixed ladder, just like that. And there's also a cool finisher you can do with this trick. If you cut it off, you can just kind of go like that. Or if you wanted to, you could flip your hand over like that. It's pretty simple. You're just doing that reverse cherry picker, and then where you would normally go into like throwing it over your index, you just reach in your thumb. And if you made it this far into the video, you are a real one. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, leave a like on it so you'll get shown my next one when it drops. Now, after learning all of that, if you want even more reverse flow tricks to do, then you need to learn this combo next. Surprisingly, it doesn't have any rev cherry pickers in it, which makes it perfect for you to go and learn, then make it your own by adding some in. Check out the full tutorial here, which is on screen.